up, guys? It's your boy Barca Boy 103. Today we're gonna be doing the season review video for the 2022-2023 season, which was of course a roller coaster and a very historic season for Barcelona, as it does mark the start of a new era. We're going to talk about the achievements of the season, player ratings, manager rating, team ratings, season awards, and then we're going to end off on my overall conclusion of the season, and I will give it my rating as well. Was it a success or was it a failure? But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get the 200 likes this video. Be very much appreciated. Also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. During the past season, Barcelona competed in 5 different competitions, winning 2 of them. The objective at the beginning of the season was to win La Liga, and Barcelona did that. They were crowned the Spanish champions this season, along with winning the Spanish Super Cup, the 4-team tournament, back in January. But the club did lose in 3 other tournaments. Firstly, they did lose in the Copa del Rey semi-final against Real Madrid 4-1. They were 2 games away from a domestic trouble, and of course in Europe it was absolute failure beyond belief, being knocked out in the Champions League in the group stages in back-to-back seasons, and then losing in the Europa League playoffs to Manchester United on a total aggregate score of 4-3. Let's now get into the players' season player ratings. We're going to be ranking all the first team players and giving them a score from 1 to 10 based on the performance for the entire season, with 6 being the average score. We're going to rate all the first team players, and we're also going to discuss some of the B team players who played for Barcelona's first team as well. Let's get right into it. We're going to go in number order. Of course, number 1 is Marc-Andre ter Stegen, and this season for me he gets a 9 out of 10. The improvement from last season has been astonishing. He's been by far top 3, probably a good argument for the best goalkeeper in the world, from saves, passing out from the back, distribution, commanding of the box. Of course, his clean sheet record this season speaks for itself. He's kept, a lot of clean sheets in the league. Of course, in the Copa del Rey, the Super Cup, and Europe, it hasn't been that great, but he still pulled off important saves. Of course, we did basically win the Spanish Super Cup because of ter Stegen's heroics in the penalty shootout against Betis. He also became one of the team captains this season as well. So overall, full flowing season for ter Stegen. He finally won his first Zamora trophy, which is the trophy that you get for the most clean sheets in the league, and also he's on course to win the best player in La Liga this season as well. Definitely in contention. He's been, I think, one of the flawless seasons he's ever had. He's won his first Zamora trophy. I think, of course, he's won the trophies that he could have won. Could have been a bit more, but nonetheless, I think he's had a very, very important season, and without a doubt, one of Barcelona's best players this season. Number 2 this season was, of course, Hector Bellerin. Only played, of course, up until January. He was sold to Sporting Lisbon. I'm going to give Bellerin a 4 out of 10. I think, honestly, he didn't play that much. In the games he did play, he was bang average. But the game that he did start was the match against Inter at home in a pivotal UCL match, and he did crumble big time. So it wasn't up to the standards. I think overall the season, he couldn't really, not get into it, but he didn't have enough momentum to break into the first team. Played a couple of the Copa del Rey games before his move to Sporting Lisbon materialized. I mean, he's pretty self-explanatory for Bellerin. I'm going to be giving him, over the season that he did play for Barcelona, a 4 out of 10. Next up, number 3 is, of course, Gerard Pique, who did retire in November. He played from August until November, and I will be giving him a 5 out of 10. During those few months, he was very, very poor, and of course was mainly remembered for his stinker against Inter Milan in the Champions League at home in a must-win game, when he just let, I think it was either Barella or Lautaro Martinez, just clean through with this iconic leave it, there's no one there, and someone was there. I think Pique, from being the player of the season last year to retiring this year with a 5 out of 10, it hasn't been that great, but he's called it quits, and he's, of course, an absolute legend of this club. Number 4 is, of course, Ronald Araujo, I will be giving Araujo this season a 9 out of 10. My only criticism for Araujo this season has been two things. One, distribution. I think he's improved a lot, but it's still not at the top tier standard that we want to see in a Barcelona center back. Secondly, I don't know if you can really blame him for this, injuries. He's been injured a lot this season, but every time he's missing from the squad, you miss him at center back. He is an absolute monster and was very close to a damn near perfect season. Just his distribution and injuries. I think in the defensive aspect of this game, he's been flawless, from playing at center back with Christensen and Kounde and Eric Garcia, from playing at right back to be Barca and Vinicius. He's had an absolute flawless of a season, and I have no large complaints for Araujo. And next season he'll be a captain and he will be a pivotal player next season. And in my opinion, definitely top 5 center backs in the world, and there is an argument to put him in that top 3. He is that outrageous. Solid season for the Uruguayo. Next up, number 5 is of course Sergio Busquets, who has announced of course he will be leaving Barcelona. During the past season, I will be giving him an 8 out of 10. You're probably thinking, is that a bit of too high for Busquets? Maybe a 7 would have been fair. I would have marked, Busquets' first half of the season as a bang average 6 from August until the World Cup. He, was average. I think in a lot of the big moments as well, just like the rest of the team, heads down, especially in the Champions League. I think Bayern Munich away, when we lost, I think it was 2-0, I believe, or 3-0. He played very well in that game, despite Barcelona not being able to be clinical. Second part of the season, I thought Busquets was world class, from January in the Super Cup, in February against United, against Betis away, the Madrid game, the one where we won 1-0 in the Cup, and then 2-1 at Camp Nou. I think the second half of the season was immense from Busquets. Probably would have gave that a 9, then maybe the first half season 6. So I kind of evened it out, 7.5, rounded up for 8 because he's leaving, so let's be a little bit nice. I think Busquets has had a very strong final season at Barcelona, and I will be giving him an 8 out of 10. Next up, number 6. There's no official number 6, but we all know who number 6 is. It is of course Pablo Xavi, who will get number 6 this summer. He played number 6 a bit this season and had to get unregistered. Anyways, I will give Xavi an 8 out of 10. Again, very strong season from him, from last season being the breakout star to this season establishing himself as one of the key players in the Barcelona squad. He's in and around the goal 11. He's dropping in and out. He's playing different positions as well, from left wing to left interior, right hand side of the midfield, center of the field. He's been absolutely everywhere, and we all know the intensity that he does bring. I think what the main thing with Xavi is that I think his final ball needs a bit more improvement. Yes, he scored a few goals this season, but I'm talking about that final pass. He gets a bit under pressure in the box, I feel like, because his decision making then isn't always that great. But then again, he isn't a left-sided forward. I think when he's played in the midfield, he's looked very comfortable. He's always on the ball. He's fantastic. His dribbling is immaculate, and of course we all know Xavi for his intensity and pressure off the ball. Absolutely fantastic, and I tell you, every team in the world would take Xavi in a heartbeat, because that player profile is something that is very rare. I think again, Xavi's had a fantastic season, and I will be giving him an 8 out of 10. Next up, number 7, it is of course Ousmane Dembele. I will be giving Dembele an 8 out of 10 as well. Again, like with Araujo, the main thing with Dembele this season has been injuries. He was out from February until May with that injury that he picked up in the Girona match, or was that end of January? I think it was February, because we played Man United. Anyways, I think then Boost, big season for him. Of course, Xavi bet on him a lot in the past summer. He had his big saga when he was benched, not gonna renew, then renewed with a weird contract. Now we're trying to renew him again. He's had a fantastic season. The numbers don't lie. He's been very pivotal to Barcelona, similar to Araujo. Every time he's not been there, we've missed him in that front line. It just looks voided without him. His ability on the ball, his 1v1, his dribbling, his speed is something that's very rare in a player. Again, shooting, same thing again, needs to be improved upon. I think his finishing isn't at that top tier level, despite the fact he scored a few goals this season, but I think he's been very pivotal to Barcelona, so I will be giving him an 8 out of 10. Next up, number 8, it is of course Pedri, who will also be getting an 8 out of 10 for this season. Similar to Dembele and Araujo, one of the key factors for Pedri this season has of course been injuries. He's been injured again, I believe, from February until April-ish, and then came back and got injured again. That's been his main problem this season. But look, like Araujo, every time he's been at the team, you've missed that influence. I mean, on the ball, he's just magic. Pivotal this season, and a lot of victories for Barcelona, winning 1-0. It's been Pedri with the goals. I'm thinking, you know, the Getafe match, Girona, Villarreal away. He's been pivotal this season. Again, on the ball, just magical. His dribbling, the way he carries the ball from the midfield to the attack. I'm thinking about that run against Atletico Madrid back in January. And you know what? Xavi told him in the summer, you gotta score goals this season. He's done so. Unfortunately, only got 1 assist. I believe that was against Espanyol. But hey, his influence in that midfield is absolutely ridiculous. The marks are down mainly for his injuries, and also there were some matches where he doesn't go missing, but I think sometimes the pressure gets to him. But it did come in Barcelona at a very, very poor time, so don't really blame him too much for that. Next up is number 9, and of course RL9 is number 9, Robert Lewandowski. He will also be getting an 8 out of 10. His first season for Barcelona, very, very strong. Scored goals, 30 plus goals, influential in the team. I've marked him down for a few points. Firstly, of course, think about that goal drought from March to end of April-ish when he wasn't scoring goals. And of course, since he's coming back from the World Cup, he hasn't been the same despite only scoring a few goals. First half of the season, he was absolutely pivotal. I think, again, his hold-up play as a number 9 has been absolutely crucial. He's been playing week in, week out. He plays almost every single game for the Barcelona at his current age as well. Is ridiculous. Scoring the Super Cup final as well. He's been pivotal. Very, very strong season for him. I don't quite think it was a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 season, but a very, very solid, and you could say very, very high 8 out of 10 for Robert. Next up, number 10, it is, of course, Ansu Fati, and I will be giving Ansu Fati a 5 out of 10 for his season. Below average, very, very poor season for Ansu, as we all know. Don't think he's been dreadful. I think there's been some moments where he's played well and scored the goals. Of course, I'm thinking the Elche away 4-0 after that international break, where his rumors about his exit were going all over the place. His dad was talking a lot, came back, played well in that game. Final game at the Camp Nou against Mallorca, got a brace, played well. But again, it's just been about inconsistencies from Ansu. He still looks like he's recovering from his injuries, and it's disappointing because, you know, he didn't get that many 90 minutes this season. I think he only played one 90-minute game. He's been subbed on, subbed off, left, right, and center. He never got, you know, a consistent run of games, and that's life of Barcelona. You have to take the moments that you get in order to get those run of games, and he never really got a moment where he could have got that goal and got a run out of it, which is very, very disappointing. We all like Ansu. We all love him. We all know he's a star in the making, but lack of confidence and inconsistency really hindered him this season, so we'll be giving him a 5 out of 10. Next up, number 11, basically the same thing on repeat. It is, of course, Ferran Torres, the other forward who did lack a lot of confidence and consistency this season, and I will also give him a 5 out of 10. I think out of the two, honestly speaking, I think Ansu Fati's had the better season just by a little bit, but I think Ferran Torres, same thing with him. He's been very inconsistent. He, of course, had some big moments this season. Elche away, Atletico Madrid at home, got the winning goal. The Cadiz match where he just running riot, you know, completed 10 dribbles in that game but couldn't score. Apart from that, he's been quiet. He's played on the right, on the left, up front. And I think Ferran Torres in Ansu Fati's defense did get way more chances this season. Of course, different types of profile forwards, but he never grabbed that opportunity as well. I think the only opportunity he did grab was one against Atletico Madrid. I think he started the next 2 or 3 games and couldn't, you know, keep up that momentum. So poor season from him, and I will be giving him a 5 out of 10. Next up, number 12. There is no official number 12, but we all know who the real number 12 is, and that is Alejandro Balde, and I will give Balde this season an 8 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic season for Alejandro. Started off, you know, a bit not inconsistent, but he was in and out of the team a lot. Him and Jordi Alba were competing. He didn't start the first game against Vallecano. Started the second game against Sociedad away at the Anoeta. Got an assist like 3 minutes in for Lewandowski. And then after that, when we started playing big games, Xavi realized that Jordi Alba isn't up to scratch anymore. Gave Balde the opportunities, and unlike Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati, Balde took that opportunity. From preseason, he was rumored to be sold or go out on loan, to ending the season as one of the best left backs in the world and Barcelona's starting left back. A remontada season like no other. Balde has been magical, electrifying down the left-hand side. I remember a lot of his runs in the midfield, his speed, the way he carries the ball from the left-hand side, driving into the middle. I think his crossing still needs to be a bit improved upon. Of course, Jordi Alba is probably one of the best crossers we've ever seen at Barcelona, so he's not really, close to him. That's kind of, a bad reaching point for a player like him, even though that's probably going to be the main goal. But I think his crossing needs to be improved. I think also his decision making in the final third also needs a bit of tweaking, but he's only on the rise. He's so young, and he's no doubt going to be a pivotal player for Barcelona in the future. Number 13 is, of course, Iñaki Peña. Didn't play much for Barcelona this season. I think he played 45 minutes against Valladolid, a couple del Rey matches. I mean, I can't really rate him. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. I think against Ceuta, he kept the clean sheet. Intercity was, of course, a crazy game. He conceded 3 or 4 goals. Valladolid, he conceded, I believe, 1 goal. So it is what it is. He's a backup goalkeeper. I think, he's going to have a big season next season. Of course, Barcelona really pushed for his contract renewal, so I'm expecting big things next season. I expect him to play Super Cup and Copa del Rey full flow, no matter what happens, no matter what the opponents are. I think next season we'll really get to see the real Iñaki Peña, but this season hasn't played much, so I will give him an average 6 out of 10. Number 14 is, of course, Memphis Depay, who similar to Hector Bellerin, did leave in the January transfer window to Atletico Madrid. In the few months he was at Barcelona, I give him an average 6. He, came off the bench here and there. I remember him starting against Elche at home before the international break, before the World Cup. Got a goal. It was a beautiful goal. I remember some games against Cadets as well. He was very where he played, I think there was that week where we played the Cadets and someone else at home where he was getting a lot of minutes because, Lewandowski needed some rest. But again, just like Bellerin, could never get the opportunity to play. And when he did play, it was very difficult for him to make an impact. The one time he's given a chance was Elche. He took it. Disappointed to see him go in January. I think if we did keep him, it could have been much different. We could have at least rotated Lewandowski a bit. Of course, we all noticed that Lewandowski needed some rotation, and we sold the only rotation that we did have in Memphis Depay, which is a bit unfortunate, but in the time he played for Barcelona, I will give him an average 6 out of 10. Next up, number 15, it is, of course, Andreas Christensen, and I will be giving Christensen a 9 out of 10 for his season. Again, no one expected this from Andreas. Of course, the second signing we are talking about, he's been absolutely pivotal. I mean, the way he's come in and made himself an official starter for Barcelona is something I have never seen before. When the expectation was he was going to be competing at center back here and there, maybe pushing Kounde and Araujo, but he's come in there and made his stance as one of the starting center backs. Unfortunately for him, he's had a lot of injuries this season as well. He's been out here and there, niggling hamstring injuries and stuff like that, but when he's played, he's been damn near perfect, similar to Araujo, and I have no real complaints. He's been absolutely world-class, one of the best center backs in the world, and I am more than pleased with his signing on a free transfer. How mad is that? Unreal from Christian this season, from aerial duels, ground duels, passing out from the back, tackles. He got a goal against Betis as well at home. Absolutely flawless from Andreas Christensen this season, and for me, he gets one of the highest ratings of the season in a 9 out of 10. Next up, number 16. There's no official number 16, but we all know who the real number 16 is, and that is, of course, Pablo Torre. I will give Pablo Torre a 6 out of 10. Again, barely played this season. He played, I think, around the same amount of minutes for Barcelona Athletic than he did for the Barcelona first team. Had some cameos here and there. I think from since the post World Cup until like March, I don't even think he got any minutes. He was that bad for him, but had a few cameos here and there. I think he really impressed in the Copa del Rey game against Ceuta, I believe, or was it Intercity? I think it was Intercity. When he played that first hour, he was absolutely magical, fantastic. But again, never broke into the first team. He has had to go on loan for the coming season. Hopefully the season after that, he can be a big player for Barcelona. But this season, just him getting into the city, the philosophy, the team, all that stuff, and really couldn't get his chance this season. But I think in the performances that he did end up playing, he was alright. So I will give him a 6 out of 10. Next up, number 17, it is, of course, Marcos Alonso. I will give Alonso a 5 out of 10. Of course, one of the new signings for Barcelona. In the first few months, he was playing in at left back, substituting for Jordi Alba and Alejandro. The big shock for him was starting away against Bayern Munich, where Xavi wanted to bet on him. Absolutely terrible decision. I think Alonso this season at left back is probably a 1 or a 2 out of 10. But then when Balde, made his stance, came in starting left back, Jordi Alba became the backup. Alonso got more opportunities at center back. So we did have a little bit of an injury crisis once Pique retired. Christensen was injured, Araujo was injured, Kounde was already playing at right back. So Alonso got some chances at center back. He was alright, let's be honest. Of course, you all remember the Copa del Rey game against Madrid, the 1-0 victory at the Bernabeu. He was absolutely world class in that game at center back alongside Jules Kounde. Apart from that, though, at center back, I would say he did a job / bang average. I don't think he was jaw-dropping. I don't think he wowed me like Christensen or Araujo at center back. Although that's not his job, it's not his position, I understand that. But I think for his position at left back, he was absolutely dreadful. Center back, he was alright, so I kind of averaged it out to around a 5 out of 10. So I think that's a very, very fair score for Alonso. And, for the expectations that we did have, he kind of pretty much said it. I don't know why Xavi bought him. I think he's more so a player just for, jokes around the team and squad player for training and stuff like that. We all thought he would come in and score a free kick. Hasn't scored a free kick this season either. So it's been an alright season for the expectations of Alonso. I think the center back position opening up for him really gave him a chance. I think if he wasn't playing at center back, I think a lot of the fans would be calling for his head this summer to leave. But nonetheless, Xavi likes him, so he's going to stay. And for this season, I will give Alonso a 5 out of 10. Next up, number 18, it is, of course, Jordi Alba, who is set to lead the club, of course, at the end of the season. Richie signed his contract termination a few days ago. I think for the current season, I will give Jordi Alba a 7 out of 10. I think the first month or two of the season, when he was playing very regularly, he was pretty poor. Got an assist here and there, but the big moment, he wasn't there. And then when Alejandro Balde took his place, he kind of took that backup role, was mentoring the players, the young players. Sometimes he came in at left wing, left back, got a few assists, got some key goals as well. I loved him in that role. I think that's what suited him perfectly. It was just time to step back, give the other players a chance. He did that perfectly in my opinion. Of course, got the big goal against Osasuna and will now be leaving the club with his head held high. I think in the match he did play this season, whether it was the start of the beginning or coming on as subs in the second half of the season, I think he's played very, very well. More so, of course, in the second half of the season compared to the first half of the season. Went to the World Cup, I think that was big for him as well. So overall for Jordi Alba, I will give him a 7 out of 10. Next up, number 19, it is, of course, Franck Kessie, another new signing for Barcelona, and I will give Kessie a 6 out of 10 for a first season. For the expectation, I think he's been alright. Again, the first few months couldn't break into the team. He then broke against Victoria Pleasant, got a goal, did his salute, everyone was happy. Then dropped out a little bit. Post World Cup, he played a lot, of course, Copa del Rey. Injuries in the midfield to Pedri and De Jong. He got more minutes. Of course, his moment of the season will be that 2-1 victory against Madrid to basically win us the league at the Camp Nou. He just scored that 90th minute goal. Honestly, for Kessie, I think his performances have been very good. He got forward, got a few goals, very strong in defense. The main aspect for him has been his on-ball ability and passing. It hasn't been to the standard of Barcelona, but that's what you get in a profile of Kessie. You get a powerhouse who will defend, run up, score goals, come back, and defend. On the ball has been very, very difficult for him, and that's why Xavi preferred other players in the midfield. So overall for Kessie, okay first season. It was, didn't, go over expectation or under. He kind of, met it, I would say, and that's why I gave him a 6 out of 10. Next up, number 20, it is, of course, Sergi Roberto. I will give Roberto a 6 out of 10. You could say I was a bit generous. I think in the first few months, he was stinky. Second half, he was, he did play well against Athletic Club. We won 4-0 the first half of the season. Played well against Madrid in that 2-1 victory where Kessie scored in the last second. Apart from that, I think he's been pretty dead. Came in, did some jobs at midfield, at right back. That's what he's there for. He's a utility knife, that little utility knife where, you open it up, you get the knife, you get the screwdriver, nail clippers. You just plug him in anywhere. He'll do a meh job. I think with Jordi Alba, Pique, and Busquets leaving, he should have left as well, but he stuck around. He will be the first team captain next season. He's going to be the police officer. He's going to be the ones that players look up to. Bloody Sergi Roberto. It is what it is. I think If you gave him a 5 this season, I would have been like, yeah, fair enough. I've given him a 6 because I think the game against Madrid, he was, influential, and that's pretty much. I probably would have given him a 5.5. I gave him the extra 0.5 for the Madrid game alone, so you could say I'm a very generous man. But I think Roberto again had a very, very, very bang average season. I will be giving him a 6 out of 10. Next one, number 21. It is, of course, Frankie de Jong, and I will be giving Frankie de Jong a 9 out of 10. Absolutely brilliant, Mr. Consistent. I think in the first few months when he's trying, the United rumors were still kicking. Xavi was playing him at center back a little bit in preseason just because we had no one there. But once he broke into the midfield again, he's been flawless, and now we officially know that Frankie de Jong isn't a pivot. He did play in the pivot position a bit this season. I think he played one game. Everyone was raving, oh, he's the next Busquets. He's perfect. Played a couple more games. He wasn't at the scratches. But in that right hand side of the midfield, the box-to-box role, also, or even in a double pivot, he was flawless. I think from his runs in the midfield, progressive runs as well, intercepting the ball, holding the play, knowing what passes to make. His vision was exceptional this season. Got some goals as well. It's been a fantastic remontada season, you could say, for de Jong. I think last season he was Mr. Consistent as well, but with Xavi coming in, Xavi's trying to figure out the player, figure out his profile, and now de Jong's happy. He's happy with his position, and so is Xavi, and everyone can go home with their heads held high. I think Frankie, world class this season, one of Barcelona's most influential players, and for me will be getting a 9 out of 10. Next up, number 22, it is of course Raphinha, another new signing, and for me he'll be getting a 7 out of 10. I think his first half of the season was absolutely dreadful. I know he didn't get that many chances, but in the chances that he did get, he didn't, live up to them whatsoever. But second half, especially when Dembele got injured, he got a few run of games. He took his opportunity, double figures in goals and assists. So it's the same thing with Ansu Fati and Ferran. They both got their opportunity, they couldn't take it. But with Raphinha, he did, and you have to give credit for that. I think in the second half of the season, he was one of the most influential players of the season. I probably would have given him a 9 or 8.5 just on the second half of the season alone. But the first half, you're looking at 6.5. I remember the few matches. I remember Cadiz away specifically when he had the opportunity to start. He was absolutely dreadful. I think Raphinha still needs to work on his 1v1 ability, especially when you're a winger at Barcelona. You want to take on those defenders. He's done it a few times this season, but there were a lot of moments where you're thinking, go on the 1v1, cut back, pass it. I think though his crosses this season have been fantastic, and he's been a very, very influential player for Barcelona, and that's why Xavi wants to keep him. So fair enough to him. I do think it's a very, very strong start to his Barcelona career, and I think a 7 out of 10 is an absolutely perfect rating and a very, very, strong start that he can build on for next season. Next up, number 23, it is of course Jules Kounde, another new signing for Barcelona, and for me, Kounde gets an 8 out of 10. I think honestly, from August until March, flawless, absolutely flawless. Right back, he was just instrumental for Barcelona in that back line of Balde, Araujo, Christensen, and Kounde. Flawless. There were moments this season where he did play at center back, a bit at the beginning, a bit in the middle. He was dreadful in my opinion. In the last few months we did play at center back. I cannot forget about the game against Manchester United when he was absolutely dirt poor. But again, I understand that he's moving from right back to center back, different positions, even though he's more so a center back. I think at right back this season he's been absolutely fantastic. Again, going forward, he got a few assists, but he's not, the Barcelona fullback that you do want, like a Jordi Alba, like a Alejandro Balde. He's more of a defensive-minded right back, which Barcelona had absolutely no one else. I think it was the correct decision from Xavi to put him there, but next season he's not going to be playing there. He's going to be playing more so as a center back in his natural position. But I think at right back, flawless. Signing was, A star for me, and I think he played an absolutely very, very strong first season at Barcelona. I think an 8 out of 10 for him is an absolutely perfect score. And finally, the last first team player for Barcelona, number 24, Eric Garcia. I will be giving him a 5 out of 10. Was pretty poor this season, I'm not gonna lie. He played against Elche in the pivot. Everyone's like, oh, he's so good. He played, I think, who did he play? Did he play Elche at home at center back and he was flawless? I forget. There was one game at home where he played at center back. He played very, very well. The Elche away in the pivot, he was alright. Apart from that, he's been pretty dead. He came in a few games. I think actually Sevilla at the Roman Sanchez Speed 1, where he scored a goal. I think he played very well in that match as well. So 3 good games. Bunch of other crap games coming on, filling in for one game here and there to provide a rest. again, squad player, so he's doing his role per se, but I still think overall his performances wasn't the best this season, but I do expect a big season from him next season. I want him to, push a bit more for a starting role. I think we'll see him a lot more in the pivot as well. So I think overall for Eric Garcia, from last season, being a starter with Pique and Araujo, to this season being a squad player, it is a downgrade for him, but I still see him as a good prospect. Xavi sees a lot in him as well, both as a pivot and a center back, but I do think for this season he hasn't been that great, so I will give him a 5 out of 10. And lastly, let's discuss some of the B team players who played for Barcelona this season. You have Pedri, the center back, Marc Casado and Alex Gallardo in the midfield, Estanias forward, Alecron, and also Lamine Yamal. Pedri only played one game. I think Osasuna came in for a few minutes. He was alright. I've seen him a lot in Barcelona B, and I think he's absolutely fantastic, or Barcelona Athletic should I say. He's a brilliant player for the future. Casado came in here and there, I believe only a few minutes, but again for Barcelona Athletic was fantastic. Alex Gallardo, of course, famously made his debut against Elche away. I thought, for Barcelona Athletic this season he's been very good, but again for the first team you can't really rate him. Estanias, I don't think, did he come on in a cup game? I'm not quite too sure, but he is registered as a B team player for Barcelona in the first team, so I think he's been very, very good this season as well. Alecron, of course, he was part of a lot of the squad list the past season, especially when Memphis left. He was there as a debutant, came on a lot of games, never started a game whatsoever, I don't think. He came on, I think his second game where he came on at home, he was very, very lively, but apart from that, can't really ask too much. Then finally, of course, Lamine Yamal, who famously made his debut in the final stretch of the season, came on, looked electric, and I think again for Juvenile A this season, he's been absolutely fantastic. So no real impact from the B team this season. No other B team players really making a mark on the first team. I think they all came in, showed some promising signs, but now it's up to them to take that next step. And that does conclude the 2022-2023 season player ratings for the first team and a little bit of the B team at Barcelona. Now for the manager rating of the season. Of course, Barcelona's manager is the legend himself, Xavi Hernandez, and for the past season, I'm going to give Xavi an 8 out of 10. Of course, his first full season at Barcelona, he got the signs that he wanted. He's implemented his style the Barcelona way with a bit of modernization to it. Look, he got 2 out of 4 trophies. I think the objective was clear to win La Liga at the beginning of the season. He's achieved that. Of course, you have to knock him down a few points for what's happened in Europe, but you have to give him praise as well. He shared the defense. We've got, one of the best defensive records this season and one of the best in the history of Barcelona. I think we played well. We've got the identity back. You have the fans back on board as well. I think Xavi, for him, this is a bit of a transition season, but also a season where you had to win trophies, and he's done that. I think one of the things that he has to improve on a lot is his in-game management, using his squad as well. He didn't, rotate too much this season, despite the fact he had a very, very strong squad in matches as well. A lot of the times he was using 3 subs, 2 subs, 4 subs, and not using his 5 substitutions when you have a lot of players on the bench earning big wages week in, week out. You want to shore up the team as well, provide some freshness. I think he needs to work on that, but hey, the philosophy is there, the style is there, the team's chemistry is at an all-time high. They're acting like a family, and I think that's all come down to Xavi, his system, his rules behind the scenes, the way he's implemented himself, his coaching staff. I think he's had a very, very strong season and very deserving of a contract renewal from Joan Laporta as well. Over for Xavi, again, he's met the criteria this season. The goal is to win the league and compete. He's done that. Of course, competing in Europe is a bit of a question mark, and that's what he's going to be his main objective for next season. He's got to compete strongly in Europe next season, or you could see, Xavi out becoming a very, very strong reality. But for this season, no doubt he gets the pass from me. He gets the green light, and I will be giving him a very, very strong 8 out of 10 in his first full season at Barcelona. Next up is my team performance rating of the season, my overall thoughts on Barcelona's performance as a team during the course of the season. For me, I'm going to be giving it a 7 out of 10. I think Barcelona in a lot of games got the job done, mostly defended very well, finished the chances. There were not that many times where Barcelona jaw dropped me with a world-class performance. I think definitely there were moments in the season where you're giving the performance a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. I remember them saying a lot: 3 points, clean sheet, XYZ goals. That's the Barcelona style. But there wasn't that many performances this season where Barcelona dominated the game and win matches. A lot of time it was just getting over the line. You know, we won, I think, what, 10 or 11 times, 1-0 this season. And we've had a lot of disappointment as well, especially in Europe. A lot of league games where we just got over the line as well. So I think there was I think the team performance was more so based on the fundamentals of football, strong defense, balanced midfield, finishing the chances in attack. That's, you know, the premise of how Barcelona build their, you know, strength this season. But I don't think there were a lot of strong performances that made my jaw drop, that I want to, you know, watch the game again. There were only like, what, 3 games I can think of off the top of my head where I'm thinking, wow, if I had like free time today, I'd definitely go and watch that game back. I want that number to be not 3 but 10 or 20. I want world-class performances back to back to back, because that's the Barcelona way. Every time Barcelona dominated in the world of football, there were, you know, 10, 20 plus games in a season where, you know, you're getting jaw-dropping performances, not individually, but collectively as a team, where you can just sit back, have a cigar, and think Barcelona are winning this game, and they're going to do so in a beautiful fashion. There are only a few moments like that in the season, but we want that, of course, to be way more consistent. So for this season, 7 out of 10 for our team performance rating based on the performances on the pitch. Again, we always played well, got the performances over the line, but we need more of the beautiful football to return, where we play, you know, consecutively at a high level and don't rely a lot on luck. I think this season we had luck on our side for the majority of the part. Again, talk about those 1-0 wins, just getting over the line in big moments, other results going our way as well. So I think, again, the team has set the building blocks to build on for next season. I want this number to be a 9 or at least an 8.5 next season, but I think for now 7 out of 10 is a very good score compared to what happened last season and the building blocks that we have set for this season. It is now time for the Barcelona season award ceremony, where we do have 11 awards to dish out, with nominees and winners being announced. Let's get right into it. There's going to be some controversial awards, controversial nominees, and controversial winners as well. But of course, in the comments down below, let me know who your winner is, and if you want as well, your nominees as well. First off, let's get the worst moment out of the way. Of course, the worst moment of the season award. The nominees are the match against Inter Milan at home 3-3, the loss away to United 2-1, 4-0 loss against Real Madrid, and the 3-0 loss at home to Bayern Munich. And for me, the worst match, worst moment of the season was the 4-0 loss to Real Madrid in the Copa del Rey. You're on course for a domestic treble. You're thinking, you know what, we've been embarrassed in the Europe, just win domestic treble and everything will be forgiven. They couldn't do that after beating Real Madrid 1-0 at the Bernabeu. They had the clean lead. They conceded just before halftime and got absolutely battered 3-0 in the second half. This was, for me, the worst performance of the season. I think the worst moment, you could say, was losing to Inter, or drawing to Inter 3-3 and essentially being knocked out of Europe. I think that was probably the worst moment, but worst performance-wise is definitely 4-0 at the Camp Nou as well to Real Madrid. Next up is the best moment / game of the season. The nominees are the 3-1 win against Real Madrid in the Spanish Super Cup final, the 2-1 win against Real Madrid at the Camp Nou in the league, 4-0 win against Athletic Club, and also the 3-0 win against Sevilla at the Camp Nou in the league as well. So a lot of home victories, and then one in Saudi Arabia. And for me, the best game of the season was definitely the Super Cup final. That for me was champagne Xavi ball football in full effect. We absolutely battered Real Madrid. Should have been 3-0. We conceded a last second dodgy consolation goal. Apart from that, it was flawless, perfect football, and that's what I was just talking about in the team performance rating of the season. I want to see more of this game over the course of a year, not just once. I want to see it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And I think this is also the best moment of the season as a Barcelona fan, winning the first trophy in about a year's time against your rival, top of the league. Life was good at this time, and we're still, you know, the draw against United was coming up, so you're still thinking, you know, you could win 4 trophies. This for me was the best moment, and also the best game of the season for Barcelona. Now let's get into the team awards. Firstly, we do have the best defender of the season. We're not going to do a best goalkeeper because, you know, clear obvious winner, but for the defenders, the nominees are back. Araujo, Christensen, Kounde, and Balde. And for me, the best defender of this season is Ronald Araujo. Again, he's been absolutely flawless. And I determined my winner on if we took out one of the players who we missed the most. You take out Balde, Jordi Alba's in. You take out Kounde, Roberto's in. You take out Christensen, you have, Kounde or Alonso or Garcia. Same with Araujo. And I think we would miss Araujo the most out of that back line if they were taken out. And that was evident throughout the season. And again, his performances have been world class. So Araujo for me, the best defender at Barcelona. Next up is the best midfielders at Barcelona. The nominees are Busquets, De Jong, Xavi, and Pedri. Even though Xavi probably played the majority of the season at left wing, we're counting him as a midfielder. And for me, the best midfielder this season is Frankie De Jong. Again, you could probably do a process of elimination. Pedri was injured a lot. Busquets was a bit poor at the beginning of the season. Xavi was playing a lot on the left-hand side, so it just leaves De Jong there. And honestly, I think performance-wise, I still think De Jong is the best. Again, Mr. Consistent, week in, week out, always puts in at least a 7 out of 10. I think he had one poor performance, which I forget which game it was. I remember going in on him. I think he gave him like a 4 or like a 5 out of 10. Apart from that, though, apart from one game, I think Frankie De Jong has been flawless this season. Next up is the best forward of the season. Only 3 nominees. The nominees are Lewandowski, Raphinha, and Ousmane Dembele. I couldn't pick between Ansu or Varane to be that 4th nominee, so I just took out both. I think they both are not even deserving to be a nominee. And of course, the winner is Robert Lewandowski. Again, I think he's been the most consistent performer out of Raphinha and Dembele. Dembele was injured a lot, and Raphinha in that first half of the season wasn't that great. 30+ goals in Lewandowski's first season, a few assists as well. You can't go wrong. Star signing, in my opinion. Now, of course, Barcelona is a Spanish club, so we do have the best Spanish player of the season. The nominees are Alejandro Balde, Sergio Busquets, Pedri, and Pablo Xavi. And for me, the winner is Sergio Busquets. Out of those 4 players, I think throughout the course of the season, I think Busquets has been the best. I think there is an argument for Balde. I was stuck between the two, but I think Busquets the second half of the season trumps Balde's entire season. I think Busquets so pivotal to the team as well, influential in that midfield. I think Balde is still growing. I think there's a lot of matches where Balde played well but made a few mistakes here or there, but Busquets was just so good at his age as well, making little to no mistakes per game. I just had to give it to him, in my opinion. Next award is the La Masia / B Team Award, where I do take the best B Team player and give them an award. But again, this season with the squad being so good, it didn't leave an opportunity for a B Team player to break through. So I just picked the 3 nominees with the 3 players who are still registered as B Team players, and that is of course Pablo Torre, Pablo Xavi, and also Alejandro Balde. And for me, the winner is gonna be Alejandro Balde. I think again this season he's been fantastic, and it could be a hot take that I do think that Balde had a better season than Xavi. I think Balde was just unbelievable in my opinion. The way he's reassured, the way he's solidified himself in that left back position, the flair that he brings in that side as well, the connections he's had with all the wingers he's played there, whether it's Ansu, Varane, Raphinha, or Dembele. I think Balde's had a fantastic season, and for me, definitely the best B Team player, or the best first team player who's not technically a first team player. Next award is the surprise of the season. The nominees are Alejandro Balde, Ter Stegen, Kounde, and Andreas Christensen. And for me, definitely the surprise of the season is Andreas Christensen. Never would I have thought in my wildest dream when we signed him on June the 1st that he would leave, June the 1st the next year as a pivotal, crucial player for Barcelona and one of the best center backs in the world. Remember, Rudiger and Christensen both left Chelsea. Rudiger went to Real Madrid, Christensen went to Barcelona, and everyone was saying that Real Madrid got the better Chelsea center back, and now we could all see it's wrong, or at least they're on par. I think Rudiger, overall, you could say both on their day, better Rudiger and Christensen can compete as 2 elite center backs. But I think this season, 1000%, without a doubt, Christensen's had a better season than Rudiger. My Danish center back absolutely unbelievable. Next award is the best under 23 player. There's only 3. The nominees are Alejandro Balde, Pablo Gave, and Pedri. And again, for the season, I am going to give it to Alejandro Balde. Again, it'd be weird if I gave it to Xavi this time, even though I gave Balde the best La Masia player or B team player. Doesn't make sense. Again, just copy and paste what I said. I'm not going to repeat it. But now we're down to the 2 big awards in my opinion. First up, the worst player of the season. The nominees are Sergi Roberto, Marcos Alonso, Ferran Torres, and Ansu Fati. You're probably wondering, where's Memphis, where's Bellerin, where's Pique? Look, they didn't play the full season. I think it would be a bit disrespectful to put them in for playing like, what, 6, 7, 10 games each. Doesn't make sense. I want to, include the players who were there for the full entire season. And here are the 4 worst players, in my opinion, for Barcelona the past season. And the winner for me, a bit controversial, I'm going to give it to Marcos Alonso. I think there were moments where Ferran, Ansu, and Roberto had better moments than Alonso. Again, Ansu had a few games where he played very well, same with Ferran Torres. Roberto played well in the Bilbao game and the Real Madrid game. For Alonso, I only remember the Madrid 1-0 Copa del Rey. Apart from that, I think he was absolutely bang average. In the first half of the season, I would say below average. So for me, the past season, the player who was there for the entire season, who was the worst player, in my opinion, was Marcos Alonso. And last but not the least, the big one, the best player of the season. The nominees are Marc-Andre ter Stegen, Andreas Christensen, Frankie de Jong, and Ronald Araujo. So you could say this is my top 4 best Barcelona players of the past season. And my winner is Marc-Andre ter Stegen. I think this season that he's had has been absolutely ridiculous. You could have gave it to any one of those 4. I think if I had a 5th nominee, I probably would have included Lewandowski in that list. But I think ter Stegen has just been world class, and he's now the #1 player in his position. Araujo, there's arguments for him being the best center back in the world. Lewandowski, arguments for him being the best striker. Frankie de Jong, there's some arguments for him being the best midfielder. But for ter Stegen, there's next to no argument. He's just been absolutely world class this season, flawless in almost every single regard. I think apart from some European games against Inter and stuff, I don't think he's made any other mistake this season. Of course, he can't stop every single goal going in, but every shot where you think, oh, the keeper can save that, he's saved every single one. All the goals we can see this season have been, pinpoint, accurate shots from the opposition side. I think every savable shot, ter Stegen's been there. He's made crucial saves. A lot of the 1-0 wins that we talked about when Pedri scored the winning goal, ter Stegen's been there to make some saves. Remember the Atletico Madrid game in January when we won 1-0, he made that crucial save for Antoine Griezmann. So many games where ter Stegen was just pivotal. We're there 0-0, Camp Nou, scrappy game. He's making point-blank saves. Borja Mayoral, the 1v1 against Getafe, clear-cut saves. The Girona, Castellanos striker, clear-cut save that just saved Barcelona right there, 4 points. He's just been unreal for me, and no doubt in my mind, he has been Barcelona's best player of the season. And that concludes my season award ceremony for Barcelona's 2022-2023 season. So my overall conclusion on the 2022-2023 season, for me, it was a green check, a success of a season. At the beginning of the year, I did predict that Barcelona would win 2 out of 4 trophies, and I did say we will win the league. That was the objective, and I expected Barcelona to win one of the cups, if not both. Again, disappointing in Europe. I said that Barcelona would at least get to the quarterfinals, and we got knocked out in the freaking group stages, and of course in the first round of the Europa League. But again, that draw was rigged, so you can't really build well into it too much. Look, this was a season for me, a lot of Xavi marking his style on the team, making sure that Barcelona is back to competing at the top level. Yet if you look at my season review video from last season to compare to this, the jump has been ridiculous, from 2s and 1s out of 10s and no trophies to 9 and 9s out of 10s on multiple players to 2 trophies. The improvement is there, but now we are looking to next season, the next level. Again, building blocks. You had crap last season, good this season. Next season is where the big expectation comes in. Overall, I enjoyed the season. I think for the majority of it, like 85% of it, we're all happy, all smiles, winning games. Again, the Madrid Copa, Europe were the only 2 downsides, and including United and Inter, those 2 big games where we did get knocked out essentially. Those were only, really down moments in my opinion. We did lose a couple league games as well, but during those times there was different scenarios, different parameters, so I wasn't too fussed about that. So you gotta also, analyze the depression levels for the season. They haven't been that bad this year. Of course, a lot of the sad moments were because of Pique, Busquets, and Jordi Alba leaving the club, and now with three of the 4 captains leaving next season, it's gonna be huge. But again, I've enjoyed this season. I think it's been a very, very strong season overall, success in my opinion. But next season I am expecting huge things from this team. But I think everyone for the team this season put in a shift effort. They reached the objective, which of course was to win the league, and overall you can't be too upset. They got the objective sorted, but now for next season the objective is going to be even bigger, and it's up to them to achieve that. So that was my season review video for the 2022-2023 season. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. Let me know your thoughts on the season itself, the objectives, your Xavi rating for the season, your team rating. If you want to go fully in-depth player ratings, you don't have to do that. That'll take you a very long time. But let me know your thoughts on the awards as well. Who would you have made the winners? If there's any nominees that you disagree with, leave me all your thoughts down below. And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below as well if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next season, where the objective and the expectations will be even bigger than this season. See you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca.